Welcome to BizTech's post-budget 2021 conversation. And we're going to talk about the impact on tax and wealth. Now, I'm Brian Fernandez, and with me is our guest today, Renganathan Kannan, partner at TraTax. It's a leading specialist tax consultancy in Malaysia. Now, welcome to the show, Renga.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for your kind introduction.
Now, Renga, we're going to start with a question which is on everyone's mind, which has left everyone scratching their heads. Now, whether it's an analyst or a consultant or an individual, where is the government getting its projected increases in revenue from year on year? So over to you, Renga.
Yeah, thanks, Brian, for that question direct on target. So I'm just sharing this 2019, 2020, 2021 year to year. Now, this is not from me, not from us. This is from the Finance Ministry. There are some background. I will touch this later. And basically, this is the projection at the moment by the government. And by large, we can see the taxes, corporate tax, individual tax, petroleum tax, those taxes. And 2021, you can see all this double-digit growth. Okay, but in aggregate, overall, only corporate income tax and personal income tax on gross, expected to be collected at higher range. So this
so that's an 8.8% projected increase in corporate tax and a whopping 18.2% on personal tax.
Yes, so personal tax is where we have to focus, and that's where the no more $1 million, it's a series of $1 billion question.
Okay, yeah, could you elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, I will elaborate this. Now, so this is the graph, basically on year-to-year impact and 2019, 2021. In the interest of time factor, I'll move on to, this is what the Treasury have shared in their, Ministry of Finance have shared in their Outlook report, basically on higher earning expectation, A, and B, enhanced auditing and tax compliance. Basically, scrutinization, more scrutinization or deep or detailed scrutinization process will be carried out. Now, scrutinization process would be like, of course, type A, like you and me in the system. There's also, there's another basket of people, series of people are not in the system.
Yes, of course. So, the informal economy and stuff, they're not in the system.
Again, they are, so based on this matrix, we have to distinguish them as evaders. Now, evaders, the hardcore evaders, light evaders, mid evaders, no matter what evaders are evaders. If they are not in the system, how revenue is going to tap on them? We don't have the time to discuss on the means and methods, but that is one big market, that segment that we can foresee for sure. In fact, government did indicated, Ministry of Finance have indicated their intent to go after this segment very clearly in 2019 via, this is an extract of para 51, 52, 53 in 2019 budget speech. Okay, so if you look at this orange box, it's very clear. IRB will use all necessary measures permitted by the law to recover such monies, whether in the form of additional taxes, penalties, or fines. So, why during that period, 2018 to June 2019, then it has been extended to another 3 more months further. At that point of time, the government did open up a window on voluntary disclosure. So by large, people do believe that it was a window for unreported income come forward, but essentially
that was called the Special Voluntary Disclosure Program, right? Yeah,
that's right. That's right. But essentially, that voluntary disclosure program has been announced in line with automatic exchange of information.
But it also, Renga, if I remember correctly, it fell well short of target.
Right, but it was about 10 billion ringgit target, approximately. But what we understand is about only 40% has been achieved. So going back to the year-to-year difference, we are looking at about 8.8 billion approximately difference. So it's touching back to the similar figure. So
I see. Okay.
This is just based on the available data. It's nothing very verified yet, but based on available data, year-to-year comparison, and we are advocating voluntary disclosure and all these things. So based on that, a message that I could interpret here is data is there, and maybe it was not a healthy disclosure. So revenue it's time for them to use the machine and shooting process.
I see.
Appears to be in such way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Now, Renga, if you look at the budgets overall, I think you're going to touch on that, is that the funds outside Malaysia is something that is a whole, right? Please tell us more.
See, I mean, those who exercise voluntary disclosure, I mean, the question, the billion-dollar question here is, it is very bad year, right? I mean, very challenging year, put it in that way, because for some people it's very good. Extremely challenging year. How that revenue, I mean, how that a collection authority could collect an double-digit growth. Readily available segment, which is money outside Malaysia. Now, money outside Malaysia, probably this is maybe inherited 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, but now at this point of time, due to CRS AY platform, if Malaysian Tax Authority could invite or ask for further information, taxpayer could not verify or validate information, they can take them for a challenge. And this documentation is about 10 years, 15 years ago. Simple question, source of fund. Double-digit million or triple-digit millions. How you got the fund? Could you please validate? IRB has, even though the money is in country A or country B, but if you are domiciled in Malaysia, being a Malaysian citizen, IRB has the right to inquire. Legal illegality is different context, but they have the right to inquire via section 81 and 82. They have the right to inspect, they have the right to inquire. It is their right, and it is our responsibility to respond on a timely basis. If we ignore, then the bill will be huge. Okay, so in that such situation, in interest of time factor, we would like to break this into two categories: those who exercise for voluntary disclosure and those who didn't exercise for voluntary disclosure. Both are, everyone is in the risk matrix now. Okay. But I would say those who exercise for voluntary disclosure, the second box, if they have the clearance letter, that doesn't mean they can go away with the clearance letter. IRB are carrying out further scrutinization. They are challenging further, even though they have exercised for voluntary disclosure, which means maybe there are some technical issues or it is not reasonable. Instead of 80, you only declare, I mean, taxpayer maybe came forward only for 10 or 5 or 20. It's a big difference, unreasonable difference, right? So there are cases, ongoing cases, number one. Number two, though they have, let's say, for example, they have exercised their voluntary disclosure timely, properly, fine, but they have to continue. The consistency must be there. If the consistency is not there, again, the risk is that it is long, but small risk, not a big risk. That second situation, if they never carry out this voluntary disclosure, then it's time for them to revisit because they are clearly in the segment. In the segment, it's time for them to get the tax documentations and all these things, make sure that safeguard their funds, and it is good to take actions before IRB take the action.
But these are basically, so I think from the tentacles of the IRB, I think jurisdictions like Singapore, Hong Kong, those sort of jurisdictions is easy for the IRB to sort of query, but not offshore accounts and tax havens and stuff like that, correct?
Almost all countries are in OECD and they are exchanging information, right?
Okay.
Almost everyone, all countries. I mean, this is a global phenomenon at the moment. And tax authorities are also, they have invested money in XBRL. So no matter in which language, whichever language, they could convert the data with their taxonomy language. They have the missions and this is global phenomenon.
Okay.
The tax world is changing with the presence of technology.
Okay.
Right. So what I'm sharing here, these are the series of penalties, PVD, TVDs, and all these things. So we do have this range of penalties, basically from 0, 10, 5, all the way to 100%. There are mechanism, and these are in our system, always in our system. So there's a lot of penalties. And voluntary disclosure is actually a penalty. It's not a tax. That is on top of the penalty.
That's on top of the tax.
On top of the tax, sorry. Yeah, on top of the tax. And like countries like US and Canada, you mean people taxpayers could opt for voluntary disclosure, but only once in their lifetime. But that's not the situation here in Malaysia. We had about 3 to 4, I think 3 voluntary disclosure series between 2015, 17, then 18 again, another one, but we don't have such restrictions so far in the past.
Okay.
Yeah. And we still have voluntary disclosure. That's called PVD, permanent voluntary disclosure. All this initiative by government at that point of time is called TVD, temporary voluntary disclosure.
I see. Now, is there an expectation then that, given the fact that the government has to raise revenue, that there may be a voluntary disclosure plan or scheme in the horizon? Have you heard anything about that?
What I understand from tax authorities, that probably they might not extend or welcome on voluntary. I mean, they will not promote or extend voluntary disclosure further. But for your information, this PVD, permanent voluntary disclosure that I'm sharing, it used to be in the past from start of 15, 20, 25, 30 on this range, but now it has been fixed on 35%. So the message here is it's not a big difference, 35%, and the starting penalty rate here 45%. So
Okay.
it appears to be that revenue is not so convinced, or they are not so, they are not welcoming, not to say not welcoming, they don't really promote in such way, because maybe probably they would have some justification. But this only changed in 2017.
Okay.
But on this position at present situation, looks like, my professional opinion personally, looks like this is time to target, or probably they have information. Otherwise, I don't think so they'll be releasing such information, right?
Right.
So which means funds are somewhere else. We know that we have the information. People are here in Malaysia. Now you can't travel anywhere else. So, the boundary is restricted. It's a small boundary.
Right. So that's a veiled warning from you there. Basically, the message should be for taxpayers and evaders and so forth. If you want to get stuff sorted out, this is a good time to do it before they come after you.
Do it faster.
Right.
Do it faster. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Renga, let's move on a little bit in terms of more high level. I think in terms of, besides these penalties that we've gone through in the budget itself, what are some salient key points that impact companies and businesses that you want to highlight?
Okay. Most of the incentives and all this has been given by virtue of extension only. Okay. And savings wise, tax for, corporate tax, nothing much. There's no adjustment. Okay. Whereas for individuals, there's only 1% drop. Now, the impact of 1%, the maximum that someone could save is 200 ringgit.
Yeah,
and this saving is in 2022.
Yes. So it's a very nominal sum. It's a relatively insignificant, because I looked at the breakdowns, and somebody who earns 10,000 ringgit, their annual saving is essentially what you said, 200 bucks.
That's it.
That's it, maximum. So it's more of a tokenism than anything else, that the M40 is saving.
M40 and anyone above M40, which is T40, it is only 200 ringgit per year, and this is only in 2022.
Yes. Yeah. So that was the thing was surprising. Yes. Yeah. Now, how about, Renga, on a different note, are there any other goodies for individuals that perhaps, I think there was some goodies in terms of senior citizens and retirees and so forth?
This is an extension. It's all that is there for some time.
Okay. So they're pure extensions. But, what should we look out for? And you've already given us a warning in terms of perhaps the need to quickly go and comply and maybe take advantage of any sort of permanent voluntary disclosure programs that they have. You said 35%. Now, what should we look out for from a tax perspective that perhaps has not been touched on in this budget? Now, one thing comes to mind, which is the long-rumored inheritance tax. So what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, Brian, for your information, inheritance tax, it is known as estate tax in the past, and it has been repealed by Prime Minister Mahathir when he stepped down 2003, 2002 during that period. So there's morality. You should have some morality and justification why they repeal that, right? Now, those who paying taxes, let's say let's say for example, in Mr. A, throughout his lifetime, let's say he generated about 20 million ringgit, and he's a good taxpayer. He paid his necessary taxes, and that wealth has been passed on to the next generation. In that context, the taxes has been paid by that family or that gentleman on timely basis, and it has been the wealth has been passed on to the next generation, and whatever income that they generate, they should comply the taxes. We do have in our system, we do have administrators tax, and there's proper system in tax mechanism. So I would say the link is there. Definitely, link is there. I know this is a long-standing rumors, but this has been repealed act, and I don't find justifications to reintroduce this again.
I see.
Because we do have this in the system.
The other thing, though, because of the government's need for revenue, was the rumor of the reintroduction of GST. Now that hasn't happened yet. In this budget, obviously, it didn't happen. Is there a market talk that that's still going to be reintroduced later next year?
Possibilities are there, because GST, I don't know, probably in different name, but GST is a healthy system. Now, why
yes,
is healthy system?
It's very equitable. It's broad-based.
Yeah. In fact, when government repealed GST, by and large, a lot of business owners were not happy because they trained the system. They have changed the ecosystem. They've invested a lot of time, money.
Yes.
I would say a lot of business owners, they came forward to become ethical, transparent, and the model has been changed.
Yes.
And sudden collapse caused dissatisfaction, disappointment for certain community, certain circle of business community,
Not to mention the several billion ringgit of tax hole in the budget because of the replacement of GST with SST.
Correct. And the linkage is there. So the healthy part of GST is like a human. Once born till the continuation. So basically, till a human consumption, when a human consume, we can see the threat and cycle of the transactions. It brings down the black money.
Yes,
it's a very healthy, it's a very healthy system, and we can recycle back the taxes as well. It's very transparent system, but probably it will be reintroduced back in same name or different name, but there's high chance to reintroduce back.
Now, just to end, last question, Renga. What are the other macro observations you would like to highlight from a tax perspective in this budget?
As I said earlier, this budget, it's more on extension of stamp duty, okay, and more on extension of relief, and SSP and PRS. All these are just a very small continuation, another 2 more years, another 4 more years. So goodies wise, gift wise, rather than of course for B40, there's number of they have reintroduced, renamed, rebranded those grants and all, subsidy. But for individual business owners or individuals, I would say that more or less it's only an extension, and we still have to wait for the bill. The bill is not out yet, so, and it's a very most weighted budget, and they're still debating. So end of the day, it all depends on the bill. What else is hidden in the bill?
Right. Renga, on that note, thank you very much for taking the time to give us your views and insights. We've been speaking to Renganathan Kannan, partner at TraTax, on a special BizTech Post-Budget 2021 conversation on tax and wealth. I'm Brian Fernandez. Check out www.biztech.asia for business and technology conversations.